Hi, Tom Heitz here with the Kentucky Wildcats with two interesting stories today. Number one, my brother was West Virginia University's first 7-foot basketball player back in 1968. And secondly, I'll tell you about my Bobby Huggins recruiting story when he got lost trying to find our farm back in Northeast Indiana back in 1978 when he was an assistant coach from West Virginia. So first off, my brother Mike. My brother Mike was highly recruited, ended up going to West Virginia, where he was West Virginia's first 7-footer back in 1968. So you can imagine that the last 2 years, or I shouldn't say 2 years, in the Calipari era, that Coach Cal's had to go and cross Bobby Huggins. This will be the third time. So this is kind of the rubber match. Back in 2010, I believe, and 11, and then this year has very special interest in our family. Obviously, me being a former Wildcat and my brother being a former Mountaineer, something pretty special right there. So that's a little human interest story there. Now, what's interesting is my brother and his wife live down in Lexington, so they have to put up with all the reverent Kentucky fans. Now, my brother was heavily recruited by Kentucky, and that's the first time I met Coach Joe B. Hall back in 1967 when I was about 6 years old. So Coach Hall was recruiting me, I say, when I was 6 years old. So how do you like them apples? Well, maybe not recruiting me, but I did meet him back when I was 6, 7 years old. So that's an interesting little side note there. My brother did end up going to West Virginia. He felt at the time it might be a better fit for him. But you know what? Now he lives in Lexington, so you can call him kind of an adopted Wildcat, at least for now, but not tomorrow or tonight when you're watching this, when Kentucky plays West Virginia. So just remember that human interest story right there and the connection. Pretty cool, right? As long as the Cats win, because you know what? This is like two political candidates going at it with, you got to make the concession call at the end. And I think I did that with my brother in 2010, but I don't think he made the concession call when the Cats ended up beating them a couple years later. So anyways, that's one story. The second story, Bobby Huggins. Back in 1978, my junior year, Coach Huggins was a graduate assistant for West Virginia University, or it might have been Ohio State. I can't quite remember, but here's the thing. He made the call to come out to visit, which back in those days, you had a lot of visits back home. You had tons of coaches come to your high school, and I can remember being recruited by over, I think it was 200 and almost 250 schools, that I used to have to hide in the gym. The athletic director would get upset and wonder where I'm at, and it's just like, I don't want to see these people. I had my mind set on who I wanted to see, and there's only so many people that, you know, that I wanted to see in my house, especially with my parents. But West Virginia was one of those, and Coach Huggins, who I had never met at the time, was supposed to meet us at like 6 o'clock. And you got to remember, I grew up on a farm. My dad's a farm boy through and through, as am I. He went to bed early. He went to bed about 8 o'clock. And here it is, about 8 o'clock, we get a call on the old rotary phone party line. Ring, ring. It's Coach Huggins, and he's lost. He's somewhere across the Indiana line in Ohio, which was about 10 miles away. I had to figure out and go retrieve him. Okay? He's lost. This is the day of pre-cell phones, remember. So I drive there, retrieve him, bring him back. And I got to tell you, my dad wasn't real happy because it was past his bedtime. The only thing that made it okay is because Coach Huggins was from West Virginia, and my brother, my dad's son, played there. So that was a good thing. So that's kind of the interesting story there. So I remember that one of my teammates, I think it was Brett Barrett, was talking to Coach Huggins about that, and he remembered that. So that's just kind of a cool fact there. So that's two interesting stories that I can give you from the inside of the Kentucky Wildcats. Number one, my brother and I, and our friendly rivalry, which will happen on Thursday. And second, the Coach Huggins story. And by the way, Coach Huggins, a great guy. I had met him, again, obviously, especially when he was a coach at Cincinnati. Haven't reconnected with him now. But a really good guy, and I know the players that play for him love him. And he's got a great team. And I tell you, if there's any team that I'm worried about in this tournament, it's West Virginia, because he finds a way to win. He's almost like a modern-day Dale Brown. He can get any team up to beat Kentucky. So we got to be careful and watch for that. So in the meantime, go to KentuckyWildcats.com. Visit me, be part of the inside team, and I'll share some inside information with you. And have a great day, and go Cats.